From devastating floods in Spain recently to the violent hurricanes in Florida, as climate change continues to ravage the world, top world leaders have not shown any interest in attending COP29 summit. The COP29 climate summit is currently underway in Baku, Azerbaijan, and US President Joe Biden is one of the leaders who are not in attendance. This is the second time in a row when Biden is skipping the global climate summit. Chances of US attending future climate summits have turned bleaker after the election of Donald Trump. The president-elect has held a hard stance against climate change. Moving to Europe, European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and French President Emmanuel Macron are also missing the climate summit. Reports suggest that EU President was busy due to institutional duties as Commission is in the transition phase. Then on the other hand, geopolitical tensions between France and Azerbaijan are not allowing French President Macron to attend the summit in Baku. The fresh political crisis in Germany has also stopped Chancellor Olaf Scholz from attending the COP29 summit, while Brazilian President Lula da Silva also cancelled his trip due to a head injury. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is also not attending the COP29 summit. India's absence is significant as it is also not hosting a pavilion at Baku for first time since 2021 climate conference in Glasgow.
The Vatican has launched a new artificial intelligence-enabled services for St. Peter's Basilica. This will allow a virtual access to its Renaissance-era architectural treasures for all. It will enhance tours curated for the visitors. The new experiences were unveiled in time for the Catholic Church's Holy Year or Jubilee celebrations in 2025, which come around every quarter of a century. The Vatican hired Microsoft, the US software giant, for the job. Using 400,000 drone photographs, Microsoft recreated every single element of the basilica's architecture, paintings and sculptures. Drones flew at night for 4 weeks, taking over 400,000 photographs and collecting the equivalent of a 6-kilometer high column of DVDs in data. Pope Francis acknowledged that artificial intelligence can increase access to information, but he cautioned over and again that it must only be utilized ethically and for the sake of mankind.
The correct and constructive use of AI's potential, which is certainly useful but ambivalent, depends on us. It sometimes happens that the instrument overrides the purpose it is supposed to serve. It is as if the frame becomes more important than the picture. We must therefore govern the technique, remembering that its products are good not only when they work well, but first and foremost, when they help us to grow. That is the purpose.
Millions of pilgrims are expected to be in Rome next year for the Jubilee celebrations, a holy year proclaimed by Pope Francis. The biggest Catholic church in the world, St. Peter's, can accommodate over 60,000 people. It is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It contains the tomb of St. Peter's, who, according to Catholic tradition, was the first bishop of Rome and therefore the first pope.
Several airlines are halting flights to Haiti after a Spirit Airlines flight was hit by gunfire. Spirit says this happened as the flight from Fort Lauderdale was arriving in Port-au-Prince. Now, one flight attendant has minor injuries. No passengers have been hurt at this hour. JetBlue and American Airlines also suspending their flights to Haiti. The U.S. Embassy saying it's aware of efforts by armed gangs to stop travel in and out of the capital. It says Americans in Haiti are traveling at their own risk.
In the wake of Donald Trump's historic win, there's a new movement sweeping America. Disappointed women are actually swearing off men.
There's no way I am letting any man near me for the next few years.
They're saying no to dating, no to marriage, no to sex.
Celibacy, at least to me, isn't that hard.
And no to having children.
Like so many other women in America who have been considering trying to get pregnant, I woke up today and said, nope, not anymore.
This woman is actually shaving her head in protest. It's being called the 4B movement, and women are taking to social media declaring their allegiance.
The 4B movement was actually started by women in South Korea back in 2019 as part of their version of the Me Too movement. The number 4 refers to dating, marriage, sex, and children.
This movement's way more important now than ever.
26-year-old Alexa Vargas joined the movement 2 years ago and expects a surge of interest in the wake of the Trump victory.
So you, in 2022, swore off dating forever.
Not forever. We're not going to settle for low-value men that don't respect us anymore.
But lots of women are mocking the no marriage, no sex movement.
Like that woman was cutting her hair off? Oh, bold.
Wild. The fact that these crazos are out here, they're like, we're not touching men. I hope that means more for me.
4B movement.
The 4B movement.
The 4B movement.
So what is it? Actually, a fringe feminist campaign from South Korea. The 4Bs, Korean for 4 no's, no marrying men, no giving birth, no dating men, and no sex with men.
There is so much pressure in South Korea for women to have kids, and women felt extremely undervalued. So they have sort of banded together to not kind of give into these societal pressures.
South Korea has the world's lowest fertility rate. Now, Google searches for 4B surging to record levels in the U.S. as one of its top trending searches in the last 48 hours. Trump's Supreme Court picks helped overturn Roe v. Wade, unleashing a wave of protests nationwide. His position on abortion access has varied, but during the final stages of his campaign, saying states should decide.
Whether the women like it or not, I'm going to protect them.
Over the South China Sea now, China has formally rejected new maritime claims from the Philippines, stating that they severely infringe on its territorial sovereignty. Now, this comes after Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. signed legislation to define the country's maritime entitlements and establish sea lanes aimed at reinforcing Philippine sovereignty. China, however, asserts that the South China Sea, including Scarborough Shoal or Huangyan Island, is a part of its own territory, a claim that has been the source of tension between the two countries for years now. In a statement, China's foreign ministry announced a baseline of territorial waters around Scarborough Shoal, promising to take all required measures to defend its claims. China's Coast Guard has also accused the Philippines of sending military vessels into the area and engaging in illegal fishing. The Philippines, backed by 2016 international ruling, maintains that the area lies within its own exclusive economic zone. Now, with the U.S. supporting Manila, global attention is on this strategic region as the disputes continue to escalate between China and the Philippines and the other countries around the South China Sea. The Chief of Staff of Saudi Arabia's armed forces is in Tehran for discussions aimed at strengthening defense ties between the two countries. Upon arrival, Al-Rawali met his Iranian counterpart, Major General Mohammad Bagheri. According to the Iranian media, of defense diplomacy and bilateral cooperation were among the main topics of the Sunday's meeting. During the meeting, Bagheri extended an invitation for Saudi naval forces to participate in an Iranian maritime exercise planned for next year, either as an active participant or as an observer. The meet comes after Saudi Arabia and Iran agreed to mend and restore diplomatic ties after a 7-year gap. Now, the deal brokered by China has been seen as a major step towards stabilizing the Gulf region, which has long been embroiled in proxy conflicts, including Yemen and Syria. In 2016, the worsening of ties between the two nations came after Saudi diplomatic missions in Iran were attacked by demonstrators who were enraged over the execution of Shia cleric Nimr al-Nimr by Saudi authorities. Since then, the two countries have been supporting opposite sides in conflicts across the zones. The meet also comes amid Donald Trump winning the recently concluded U.S. elections. Trump's first term saw the landmark Abraham Accords, which normalized ties between Israel and several other Arab states, though Saudi Arabia is yet to formalize ties with Israel.
The Indian Navy is poised to test a long-range anti-ship ballistic missile, a weapon that could strike enemy targets nearly 1,000 kilometers away. As per reports, this missile is being developed specifically to expand the Indian Navy's ability to neutralize the enemy from staggering distances, striking targets ranging from a warship, aircraft carrier to a naval base. Imagine the power of launching a rocket from a naval base, say in Mumbai, and hitting a target as far as Karachi, that's located nearly 900 kilometers away. Because this is exactly the strategic edge India is aiming to achieve. As per reports, the Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, is set to conduct this test on India's eastern coast in the coming days. This missile can be launched from both naval ships and land-based locations, making it flexible, formidable. Reports indicate it's designed to bolster India's ability to deter regional threats. And Iran has warned of risk of expansion of war beyond West Asia. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi warned that in case the war expands, its harmful effects will not only be limited to West Asia. This as the country plans to retaliate to Israel's October 26th attack that killed 4 of its soldiers. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has maintained that a potential ceasefire in Gaza and Lebanon could affect its response.
The world should know that in case of the expansion of war, the harmful effects will not be limited only to the West Asia region. Insecurity and instability can spread to other regions even far away.
Iran's warning comes after Donald Trump's victory in the U.S. election. Araghchi said Iran respected Americans' right to elect the president of their choice. He denied Washington's charges that Tehran was linked to an alleged plot to kill Trump, labeling it a third-rate comedy manufactured by scriptwriters, and called for confidence building between Iran and the United States. Iranian Vice President for Strategic Affairs Mohammad Javad Zarif urged Trump to reconsider the maximum pressure policy he pursued against Tehran during his first term. Trump must show he is not following the wrong policies of the past. A veteran diplomat who previously served as Iran's foreign minister, Zarif helped seal the 2015 nuclear accord between Tehran and Western powers, including the United States. The deal, however, was terminated in 2018 after the U.S. unilaterally withdrew from it under Trump, who later reimposed sanctions on Tehran.
What the
Akhi bane
הנה זה מהחלון של המטבח שלי.
פה, שם, כל המקומות.
יואו, השם ישמור.
קריית ביאליק, 2024.
וואי, אתה לא מתקרב מטר מהבית שלך, תפגע יצירה. הבניינים הגבוהים.
פה, שם, כל המקומות.
הנה זה מהחלון של המטבח שלי.
יואו, השם ישמור.
קריית ביאליק, 2024.
וואי, אתה לא מתקרב מטר מהבית שלך, תפגע יצירה. הבניינים הגבוהים.
Out of the war in Ukraine, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia is expanding its offensive, launching a record 145 drones in just one day. Glide bombs, in addition to drones, and a ballistic missile were also launched into Ukraine, killing at least 6 civilians, injuring about 30 more. Meanwhile, Russia is massing 50,000 troops. That includes North Korean soldiers for what looks to be a new offensive in Kursk. That's that region in Russia that has been partially occupied by Ukrainians. Ukrainian intelligence tells ABC News that this video right here, it shows North Korean soldiers in Russia. ABC's Patrick Reevell joins us now with more. So Patrick, what's the latest on the battlefield?
Hi, Terry. Yeah, I mean, the latest on the battlefield is mainly very worrying signs for Ukraine. As you say, there are 50,000 Russian and North Korean troops now said to be massed in the Kursk region. Of them, it's estimated that there could be as many as 10,000 North Korean troops, all there to basically take part in a counteroffensive to try and push back Ukrainian forces that managed to seize a foothold in the Kursk region back in August. And as you know, as we understand it from what we can assess, Russia has already, over the last couple of months, been able to take back about half of what the Ukrainians had managed to seize back in August. But so far, the Ukrainians had been holding them. There's an expectation now that Russia will attempt a bigger offensive to try and remove them. But it's not just in Kursk. Also in eastern Ukraine, we're seeing Ukrainian forces under severe pressure at multiple points, in particular around the town of Kharkiv, where there is now the risk that a large number of Ukrainian troops could find themselves surrounded. There's a risk there that the lines could crumble if the Russians manage to capture that town, which would be a very serious blow to Ukrainian forces in eastern Ukraine. But just in general, we're seeing that Ukrainian troops are under severe pressure at multiple points, and we hear from them that they are suffering in particular from shortages of manpower, and that they are very, very worried about the general direction of the war at the moment, Terry.
Yeah, let me pick up on that, Patrick. Manpower. So this is 1,000 days into this war now. We remember it beginning with Russia's attempt at lightning strike into that country that would topple the government and give the entirety of Ukraine to the Kremlin. That didn't happen. It settled into this grinding, awful conflict. And now Donald Trump is back in office saying he's going to end it. What's the mood in Ukraine? What's it look like for them going forward?
You know, I think that's a fascinating question, because I think many people might be surprised to hear that within Ukraine, a very large number of people believe that Donald Trump's election is potentially a good thing for Ukraine, and they prefer it to if there had been a Kamala Harris victory. And the reason for that, I think, is the deep disillusionment that there is in Ukraine about the Biden administration's policy over the last year, really, where they were imposing quite significant restrictions on how Western weapons could be used. And basically, many Ukrainians, and we hear this from some senior Ukrainian military commanders, many Ukrainians feel that essentially the Biden administration was giving Ukraine enough to be on life support, but not enough to win and not enough to force Russia into fair negotiations. And so what they're hoping is that Donald Trump potentially can create a situation where at least there's an opportunity now for negotiations. They know that there's a risk as well, that he said he's going to cut aid. They're very concerned about that, but they hope that this at least creates an opportunity for them to try and have negotiations, Terry.
Wow. That is remarkable that the Ukrainians, he talks tough on Ukraine, but the Biden administration has kind of played it very, very carefully, too carefully, it sounds, for them. Patrick Greville, I know you've been following this since the beginning. Thanks very much.
fenomena alam, guys. Allahu Akbar, subhanallah. Apa ini ya? Kayak kolam renang ya. Apa sih? Kayak rusuk awet rusuk, kayak rusuk. Nah, kita katakan kayak rusuk.
Selesai namin na.
I mean, muito heavy, eh? Ya llegó.
Wildfire has already destroyed more than 200 homes in Southern California. About 1,400 people are under evacuation orders right now as crews race to battle the flames for a second day. Governor Gavin Newsom toured some of the damage in Camarillo Heights yesterday, talking with firefighters and sheriff's officials. He declared a state of emergency in Ventura County to open up federal funding and resources.
This neighborhood, in fact, just about 30 minutes ago, we had a fire crew, I would say about 10 feet away from us, responding to a hotspot that we didn't even recognize. So that threat still exists. There is a concern that even a little bit of a gust could pick up those hotspots and possibly ignite other homes, Vlad.
Köprü yanına geldi. Bizim köprünün yanına kadar geldi.